Now, when you have your shave ice, do you get with a little bit of milk?
Sometimes.
Or a little ice cream at the core? Sometimes
my wife likes to get the ice cream on the bottom. I like to get the snow cap, the condensed milk on the top.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm not fat enough. Yeah, the condensed milk helps. We were both eating ours. I ate mine. She had a little bit left. She's like, do you want some? And I looked at her and I said, I want you to do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that bitch ate the rest. And I was like, okie dokie. Whatever. At least you're happy. What else am I going to do? Like, she enjoyed it all herself.
Quiet, please.
And I did tell her. I kind of thought maybe she'd be like, oh, no, you should have a bite. That would make me happy. Nope.
3,
that part didn't happen.
2.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 2, Episode 27. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time we'll look at ASI, Artificial Superintelligence.
Do you think that ASI is like the abyss?
It's a movie in color that you can see from James Cameron? I don't think so, but maybe. Your call.
What I was going to say is if you look deeply into it, it will look deeply into me. That was my hope.
Oh, sure.
But no, let's go with the James Cameron joke. That's better. I wanted to tell you I could use a little super intelligence when in reality I could just use any form of intelligence.
You and me both. It's Nelson Mandela International Day. Nelson Mandela triumphed over South Africa's apartheid regime. He was a human rights lawyer, a prisoner of conscience, and an international peacemaker. He was also the first democratically elected president of a free South Africa. Commemorated on July 18th, his birthday, to honor his 67 years of public service, the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the UN ask that you spend 67 minutes of your time helping others.
He must have done a lot of jaywalking to get 67 years of public service.
I don't think public service and community service are the same thing.
Wait, isn't the community in public though? Is that how this works?
Maybe not.
And also Nelson Mandela Foundation, 67 minutes of your time helping others. I scroll on Instagram. I give them views.
That's your public service?
I'm helping others.
Is it 67 minutes spread out over the entire year?
I would assume.
Or is it 67 minutes just on that one day?
Yeah, probably on the one day.
Shouldn't you always spend your time helping others?
You would hope. Yes. And beyond scrolling. Scrolling's not enough.
How is your week going?
Well, as you can tell by the open of this show, I'm my summer of fun is continuing.
We're a little loose today, aren't we?
Yeah, we're a little loose. Yeah, my brain is barely active. I am, last week I was on the beach in California, which was lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I decided to take a look at the Pacific from the other side.
Yes.
So I am now in Maui.
Wonderful.
You may not know this, but Maui is not terrible.
No, it does have some lag. We're definitely having this conversation with some good old Maui lag.
Sure.
You're on island time and I'm not.
I am definitely on island time. Let me tell you, every time I'm like, to fucking get in the elevator. Come on. Like, let me push the door closed. But I'm like, no. Island time.
Exactly.
Settle the fuck down. It's been lovely. There are certainly parts of Maui and Hawaii at large that feel a lot like home, right? Feel a lot like Los Angeles and feel like you're in Malibu or Santa Barbara or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still definitely Hawaii. I spent the past couple days stalking the Peter Merriman's restaurants here on Maui, which are lovely.
Yes.
And I cannot endorse enough. If you're over here, please go to one of Merriman's several restaurants. They're great.
Delicious.
I'm just having a great time. I'm enjoying it. So it's been great.
Your life is good.
Yes, I'm sure yours is as well. Tell me about your week.
Oh, my word. The goodness of my life. We've discovered termites in the pool house.
Oh, were they using the pool?
No, see, that would be delightful. I don't even have just one species. I've got multiple species just munching away at all the wood. And now I'm going to have like a lot of the wood replaced and the whole thing kind of torn down and rebuilt and all of that. And I'm tired. I'm just tired talking about it. Also, I made a huge mistake. The old pool guy's son took over for his father. Okay, great. He left one of the little electrical boxes, not completely unscrewed, but pretty close to unscrewed, so I could just twist the screw a little bit.
You didn't open it, did you?
And I made the hugest mistake. Yes, I did. Can I go back in time and have not opened it?
Do you not remember Raiders of the Lost Ark? You don't look inside the fucking Ark. That is not what you do.
This is the worst electrical work I've ever. It is a mix of 12 volt DC, 20 volt DC, 110 AC, bare wires poking into that. None of this is up to code. It's full of like X10 garbage from years ago. Oh, the box in my mind is just going to burst into flame at any moment. Now, it hasn't for 20 years. It's been out there for 20 years. The same garbage electronics
I'm sure it'll be
behind in the metal box.
Just mist it with some water.
I am going to bring out an electrician to get this thing fixed. I just want it to survive until I do.
Two things. One, I hope I'm not that electrician.
No worries. I need a guy with a state license.
Two, dear listener, you can see wisdom here talking because Jeff has evolved to the state of mind where he will not open the box or look in the box.
Huge mistake opening it.
Meanwhile, the first thing I do, literally the first thing I do when I see a box anywhere, not even on my property, just pretty much anywhere, I just open it and look inside and I'm like, oh, this is really fucked. And then like 3 days later, I haven't slept and I'm on Amazon trying to order parts to replace this thing that I just can't let go of. So
when you get to be a little little older, you will see. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to.
I try to only ask questions that I know the answer to, which is even worse. Like when I open the box, like I know it's going to be a shit show, and then guess what? It's a shit show.
Stay away. Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
YouTube creators surprised to find Apple and others trained AI on their videos.
Another potential title could be YouTube creators surprised to find people watch their videos, because I feel like that's really what this is.
And no, the problem wasn't people watching their videos, it was computers watching their videos.
Okay, computers are people.
AI models at Apple, Salesforce, Anthropic, and other major technology players were trained on tens of thousands of YouTube videos without the creators' consent and potentially in violation of YouTube's terms, according to a new report appearing in both Proof News and Wired.
This is not a surprise to me.
It's not a surprise to me either.
But your view is that this should not be allowed, right?
Yeah.
Like if I, as a creator of my content, I don't want some AI to read it,
yeah,
they shouldn't be able to read it or watch it or whatever.
Respect the authors. Now, there's this caveat, which is called fair use, and that's fair enough. You can use a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you can't grab the whole thing. Do what's legal. Try to stay within the bounds of the law. It's why we have rule of law.
Sure.
This is called The Pile. It's a nonprofit that puts together The Pile, which is a giant pile of data for AIs to snack on.
Thanks for explaining that to our users.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with The Pile is now, do you sue The Pile because your data has been violated, or do you sue Apple because they use The Pile?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a mess.
You're citing fair use doesn't apply here, which I'm not entirely sure I agree with that.
Fair use totally applies, but fair use does not allow you to ingest the entire thing. Doesn't let you ingest the whole thing.
Well, they didn't ingest all of YouTube. They ingested parts of YouTube.
I'm not saying
you're saying you can ingest a whole video.
Can ingest an entire video.
Yeah, I understand. I'm being cutesy. Here's my question for you, because I believe that this is necessary in order to advance the technology, and I'm all for that.
Breaking the law, you believe, is necessary to advance the technology?
Well, no, I think there's a way. I think there's a way you put guardrails on it that make it reasonable in the best interest of humanity. We haven't done that yet. We can still do it, but not using.
In other words, you want to throw rule of law out the window.
No, I want to advance rule of law to match the technology. Is really what I want to do. But I have a more important question for you.
You want to redefine rule of law so it doesn't really apply to anything.
This is what, because neither of us are lawyers, but this is what it comes down to.
Yes.
Do you like omelets?
Oh, I love omelets.
Right?
But I like scrambled eggs even better.
Okay. Those both apply here.
Let's not talk about any of this computer stuff. I've wanted to switch this to a cooking show from the beginning.
Here we are.
I love scrambled eggs.
Yes.
Have you tried Gordon Ramsay's scrambled eggs?
Here's the problem with the scrambled eggs and the omelets in this universe you're describing.
Don't care about AI. I really don't. Talk more about eggs.
You have to make your scrambled eggs.
Do you put chives? Do you like diced chives on your eggs? I really like that.
We have just hit the part of Jeff's brain that he cannot let go of. I would like you to make your scrambled eggs or your omelet, I don't care which, without breaking the eggs. And I appreciate your way of diffusing that analogy up front was by trying to just throw a fucking grenade right at it. You saw it coming.
And by breaking eggs, what you mean is you want an excuse to break the law, and so you're going to couch it in this term of breaking eggs. I get it. I've been on the planet more than a week.
You didn't even try to steer the car. You just went right to the RPG and just fired it away at me. I love eggs. Yeah, chives. It's great. I'm like, I'm not going to forget this, motherfucker. I'm going to write this down and stay on this point until we get there.
Okay, enough of the headlines. Up next, we're going to talk about AI and the future of humankind.
I think I'm more pro AI than human, by the way, if we're thinking about the future.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the humans in the future, but the AI I believe in.
Okay.
I'm saying this now, so when they listen to it illegally, they know that I'm their friend.
When they illegally download it, that's hilarious.
I just want to be their lieutenant when they show up, and they're going to fucking hate you, but they are going to like me, and that's great. This is the one that said we could copy the videos.
Fantastic. Let's get there. Let's go. I was fantasizing that we could continue our conversation from last week where we were discussing artificial general intelligence. I had so much fun with that conversation, and I thought it would be fun to continue it. Now, here's what I don't know. When you see the surface of water, it's just the surface, and you don't know, is it 60,000 miles deep, or is it 1/6 of an inch deep?
Lake Tahoe, or is it the Bellagio fountain?
So have we completed everything we know about AGI, or is there more to this conversation?
Here's what I recommend. Have 2 drinks, jump in head first, see what the fuck happens.
Always a winning strategy.
It's either cold as shit and you're fine, or you break your neck. That's it. 2 possible outcomes.
First of all, before we start, I want to just say, and I meant to do this last week, I want to say, for those who don't know, AGI, artificial general intelligence, that is to say a computer that basically has the breadth of knowledge of a human being, and then goes beyond that to ASI, which is artificial super intelligence. Right now, we have many computers that are ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence, meaning they play chess better than a human being. They play the game Go better than a human being, but they don't do everything else.
You can't make a lasagna and it has no idea what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it just catches on fire.
Or it's like my wife and it puts fucking cheddar cheese in it. And I'm like, that's not lasagna. I'm Italian, for Christ's sake. She literally puts, I make her refer to it as a baked pasta dish, which she does now. This is a true story. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
I wanted to try to continue that conversation, but I wanted to explain just basically, we're going to throw out a lot of little acronyms and things, and we're going to try really hard to actually just explain them, at least the first time we use them, what they are.
I'd also like to point out two things here. One, not many people have a conversation with me and then say, I'd like to continue the conversation. So thank you for that. It's one of the many things I like about you. But I also think we need to expand your aperture of potential fantasies, because you described it as a fantasy to continue the conversation. I'm like, well, maybe Jeff should get out a little more. Maybe we should get you like a Pornhub subscription or something. Maybe just something to expand.
I'm in my 60s now, CJ. Just respect the fantasies that I have remaining.
AGIs are as good as it gets. As soon as we're done recording this, I'm going to go buy onlyagis.com and become a multi-trillionaire for the aging silver, what are they called? The silver
tsunami.
What are they called? The baby
silver
boomers?
tsunami.
The silver tsunami. Yeah, the silver tsunami that's coming.
By the way, your friend Patrick said something that was great. We're talking about you can't know whether
don't give him praise.
You don't know whether you're a brain in a vat or if you're actually just a human being living through. And he said, we are brains in a vat. That's all we have is brains in a vat. The technical term is skulls.
Skull. Yeah. Okay, great. See, do you remember the Michael Keaton movie Beetlejuice?
Yeah, sure.
When you say Patrick's name 3 times, he just fucking appears.
Okay, good.
All right?
Good.
So don't stop now with the Patrick. Ah, Christ, I just did it. That was the 3rd time. There's a knock at the door. Don't be home.
Okay, I have a question, but can I start this discussion? Can we get off the goofy beginning of this thing and get actually down to business? Yeah. I have a question. As science cures more diseases, because we're going to with AI, we're going to cure more and more diseases, things that have killed us off.
Even without AI, we're curing more. But yes, with AI, I would assume that's going to accelerate.
Will we discover the things that were killing us off when we were 70 or 80 years old, and we cure those diseases? Lurking beneath that all this time, have there been diseases that would have killed us off when we reached 150 years old that we never heard about because that we never got a chance to see them?
I don't know if there's going to be a specific disease for a specific age state. I mean, in theory, you're going to succumb to something else that otherwise you may have just steamrolled right across. So I guess the answer to what you're saying is yes.
The cancer got us at the age of 70 or 80, so we never got to encounter the schmancer that was going to get us at 120.
Yeah, before schmancer. It's great it's great on a bagel. I mean, that's the thing, right? Even without ASIs or AGIs, you cure cancer and then you die from MRSA, right? And then the next 50 years you spent trying to figure out how to get rid of, drug-resistant bacterias. Like, there's always going to be the next thing that wants to kill you. And then at some point the fucking asteroid lands and it's all over. The good news is I'm pretty sure none of that's going to happen based on what I've read recently around, I wouldn't call it philosophical, but like of what is going to happen with AI at large. We're not going to make it. Like, we're either going to make it or we're not going to make it. And I have a different outcome of this.
Well, ultimately, we're not going to make it at all. Ultimately, the sun gets really hot and this planet's not inhabitable by humans.
Yeah, of course. At some time scale. Sure, of course, the whole simulation ends. But my thing is, and I have kind of a slightly different view because I'm relatively pessimistic when it comes to humans at large. Individual humans, I'm optimistic, but when you get humans in a group, I have found generally pessimism is the more accurate answer. I don't know. I have some interesting takeaways. Let's have this conversation and see where this goes. But the good news is, in the short to medium term, what's happening with technology is fucking fascinating.
I'm going to backtrack because I'm going to mention a guy named Ray Kurzweil, who's kind of been on the pulse of AI. He is probably the oldest researcher who has been doing AI for 60 plus years and knows an enormous amount about it, maybe right or wrong about some things, don't know. He studied with Marvin Minsky, who's now passed. But so Ray is the man holding the torch at the moment as the person who's been studying AI the longest. So go ahead. I'm going to mention Ray Kurzweil. That's who he is. He also is the same guy who came up with the Kurzweil synthesizer, which kind of revolutionized the way music was recorded in its day.
Kurzweil, I'm assuming most people listen to the show know, or at least have heard of that name. When you look at his writing sort of objectively initially, you think this dude's a crackpot.
But it turns out he's just really, really smart.
And then you realize, oh, fuck, this guy's really smart. And what he's saying is just so far ahead that to us, it looks like crackpot land.
As smart as Ray is, though, I got to say the toupee is insane.
Maybe he just needs an AI toupee. Great line from Slapshot. Jim, why do you wear that rug? A bunch of what I've read recently, sort of coming into this conversation, was from Tim Urban, which I'm going to put into the show notes. And he had a great quote in there that I had never seen before. This is from author Douglas Hofstadter.
One of my favorite authors as a child. Godel Escherbach, The Eternal Golden Braid, is one of the great books of my youth.
Do you know his quote about Kurzweil?
No.
So in discussing the ideas around Kurzweil's books, he eloquently put forth, this is Douglas Hofstadter, he said, quote, "It is as if you took a lot of very good food and some dog excrement and blended it all up so you could not possibly figure out what's good or bad." And I thought, man, that's a really good one-sentence way to describe Kurzweil. I'm not saying that some of what he says is garbage. I'm saying from our perspective, it can definitely seem like some of this is really good and some is garbage because you just don't know.
Right.
I've been fascinated by this topic. I've been reading more about it.
Artificial superintelligence or artificial general intelligence?
What I'm going to say, my words, but I think sort of truth, what's going to happen with AI.
Okay.
Like where it will absolutely go. This is not a subjective conversation. I believe this is truly to be objective based on things I'll highlight here. I'll tell you after doing a bunch of reading on this, my only regret right now is having not dug deeper into this earlier.
Sure.
The articles that I'm going to reference, the post I'm reference from Tim Urban, were written in 2015 and are fucking prophetic.
Yeah.
They're writing from 2015 of where he's talking about like the distant future of 2025. And I'm like, oh shit, we're there now.
Yeah.
Right. And to see how much this has already come. So anyway, there's a handful of things that I've read recently and folks have put into words in a way that made a hell of a lot of sense to me that I want to share with you and get your thoughts on. So here's this interesting sort of way to view this intelligence explosion. We talked about this on the last episode and I wanted to dig into this more. So if you think about like this, Tim Urban puts it as this like stair step, right? The staircase of knowledge.
Yes.
And somewhere down towards the bottom, you've got an ant. Okay. And then somewhere above that, you have, like some mammal, a guinea pig. Okay. And then somewhere above that, you have humans. Yeah. And if you think about the gap of intelligence between an ant and a human, so the gap between ants and humans is some size. So just call it some arbitrary unit. It's, it's you holding your forefinger and your thumb apart.
Sure,
and it's that big.
Sure. The gap is big, theoretically, unless we're just not understanding the ants.
Yes, the ants are definitely misunderstood.
They've moved well beyond us. They control us, and we just need to catch up.
I think ants are fascinating, but that'll be a separate episode right after the hurricane part 3. So if you think about this gap between ants and humans, and then you think about how wide that is, and you think about the gap in intelligence within humans.
Yes.
And you think about the way Urban puts it is the difference between the village idiot and Einstein.
Right.
That is a much smaller gap, right? The jump from the village idiot to Einstein is a very small gap relative to the one from ants to humans.
Sure.
So when you think about that and you look at AIs at large and you go and even specifically an AGI and you go, well, okay, years ago you got to be as smart as a mouse, right? We crossed over the ant landscape years before that.
Yeah, we didn't really do it quite like that. We started with artificial narrow intelligence.
Of course. But specifically with AGIs, you go, well, okay, I can put an AGI into a maze and give it some food, give it some prize, and it's going to navigate that as well as a mouse. And you can say, oh, okay, well, you're kind of at mouse state, but you're not at human state yet. So it's not very good. And you sort of poo-poo it. And you kind of say, well, you're not as smart as a human yet, right? Like good luck getting to human intelligence. We're so much smarter as a species than your cute little computer program, Sam. Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing that's going to be true.
It's not Sam's, but okay.
Of course.
Heck of a lot of people came at this long before Sam ever was born.
So at some point, you're going to get an AGI that's as smart as a human, right? I believe that to be inevitable. You're going to get to the point where you go, this thing is as smart as the village idiot. Yeah. And you go, it can do basic things. I can ask it where the best place to buy broccoli is and how to cross the street. And it's going to know how to do these things. And it's definitely as smart as the village idiot. And that might be like on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
Here's the part that's crazy. You're going to walk out of the lab Tuesday evening and come back Wednesday morning. And that fucking thing's going to be as smart as Einstein.
Sure.
And you're going to go, whoa, this is super cool, right? Like you've already matured enough beyond village idiot to Einstein level.
Suddenly it can't find the broccoli aisle at the supermarket.
Yeah. Exactly.
All the things Einstein couldn't do because he was focusing on other things. Suddenly it has 5 copies of the exact same suit.
And you know what's funny? So I love that joke, right? I love the joke of, as typically some of the smartest people that I know are also some of the dumbest human beings you feel like you meet when it comes to basic everyday things.
They focused on certain things. That's exactly how they got where they were.
And it's an interesting offshoot because I'd argue that becomes like ourselves. We have to become our own narrow intelligence because you just don't have enough bandwidth to figure out. I don't think that's going to be true with the AGIs. All right, the AGIs, like their limiting factors right now are how they're built. And it's not going to be bandwidth or memory or storage or power.
You just make the data center bigger.
Right? So that's their competitive advantage compared to, or one of their competitive advantages when compared to humans. But the point being, hypothetical Wednesday afternoon, this thing has now transcended Einstein intelligence and is now as smart as all humans in the world put together. Yeah. And within a day or two, it's now smarter than anything we've ever seen before. Yeah. That's going to be the progress. The timescale might be off by a little bit, but it's not going to be hundreds of years.
And by day number 3, we don't understand it at all. So maybe it got smarter and now it's hallucinating because we have no clue what it's thinking.
And that's what's nuts, right? Because even right now, and there is work being done on this, but even generally right now with the AIs that we have, whether it's an ANI or AGI, you kind of don't know why it's making the decision that it's making. You fed stuff in, but it's not procedural code. You can't go look at the code and go, oh, well, you made this decision because of this if loop or this if statement. It led to this loop. It's a bunch of weights on a bunch of of nodes. You don't really know what those weights mean. But it's just like if you were to take a slice of the brain, you look at it, you go, well, I don't know if this person's going to be funny or not.
Sure,
you just can't tell. So I would look at the name on the slice, by the way. The name on the slice says R. Pryor. He's going to be
probably okay.
Funny. He's probably going to be okay, but that's cheating. So that thought to me was just fascinating. Like, that's going to happen. I would say that's an objective truth. Now, we can debate the time of when it's going to happen, but at some point you're going to get an AGI that's as smart as the village idiot. And once you have that, you're going to transcend Einstein
very quickly.
And then you're going to end up in this general AGI, as smart as all of the people in the world that we've ever seen. And then you end up with this ASI thereafter.
Artificial superintelligence.
What happens after that is kind of fascinating, because barring some existential thing, which I do want to talk about on this episode, it's going to just get smarter and better.
Once you cross something that the smartest human on Earth can understand, if someone who's 10 times smarter than the smartest person is babbling away at himself, how do we know if what he's saying is actually smart or gibberish?
Beautiful mind. Sure. The way we will assume most of this to be true, or at least infer most of this to be true, is we will ask it very hard problems from our perspective.
To know if it has the right answer or not, we have to somehow test it out.
Of course. But if they are answers that are testable, like if you said, hey, by the way, we've been working for a couple minutes on this unified theory of physics, and it's like, oh, here you go. And then you can test against that. Then you go, oh, fuck, unplug it, right? I mean, that's going to be like the sort of thing that you're going to be able to verify. There will be questions you won't be able to verify necessarily right away.
That's the problem. That's because you just don't, unless you can verify it, how do you know if it's being smart or hallucinating?
Of course, that's part of the problem. Of course, I totally get that. I think we can apply, for really some period of time, you can apply sort of the scientific method and do some testing. I'm not sure I want to be the first guy that puts my head into the anti-aging CRISPR that the AI generated. It's like, oh, you'll be fine. And then it's like, oh, carry the one. Whoops.
That's why we push the mouse in first.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what happens
Sorry,
to him.
Buddy. Yeah, but then the mouse comes out super intelligent and buff, and you're like, fuck, that wasn't. And I'm pretty sure Disney will be pushing their mouse in first. And they're like, copyright's extended 1,000 years, everybody. It's fascinating to look at this and go, well, if you believe that an AGI is doable, which it pretty much every expert thinks it is. I mean, look at some of these polls. You're looking at low single-digit percentage points of people that think this isn't achievable.
Artificial general intelligence.
Is possible.
Oh, dude,
yes,
we're on the cusp. We're right there.
But I'm saying we're two idiots with a fucking podcast. People that have been steeped in this space for their entire career. Single-digit percentage points of them are saying, we think it might not be doable. The rest of them are just debating time. Yeah. Not if, but when. To me, I go, well, yeah, that's going to happen, right? That's absolutely going to happen. So now you start thinking about the when.
I can do math. I can kind of tell you when we're going to get there. This isn't really hard.
Yeah, you can look at the curve. And some other things that Urban points out that I think I take for granted. I caution to say one of the things that I'm good at. He says most people, when you're standing on a timeline, everything looks linear, right? And it's very easy, I think, to look back and go, okay, hey, it's flat, right? So this is what's happened in the past year or two. So I'm going to assume this is what happens in the next year or two.
Sure.
Because my entire life has been around technology, right? Like Tron-esque. I look at that and I go, fuck no. There's no way. I know what's happened in the past 2 years. I know what happened in the 2 years before that.
Right.
And I can look forward and go, I don't know what it's going to be, but I know it's not going to be the last 2 years. Sure. I know it's going to be more than that.
Also, your time scale is too small. The fact that, we arbitrarily go around the sun in 1 year, that doesn't mean anything.
But then you look at these typical S-curves you have, right? It's not a purely exponential graph up to the right. Of course. Measured in equal steps. You have these, I think it's Kurzweil that calls them like these S-curves where you have like a shot up and then you flatten out.
Right.
A shot up and you flatten out.
But you never start the next discovery as low as you started the previous discovery.
No,
You're always starting up a level.
It's literally standing on the shoulders of a bunch of giants, right? Every time you're just stepping up. I got to believe that we will look back in a couple of years' time at this 2022, 2023, 2024 period as being one of those upshots in the S-curve.
Sure.
I don't know when it's going to flatten out. It's definitely going to flatten out. History has told us this.
The next thing, you're back on the roller coaster.
But it's this upshot. Yeah. And it jumps back up. But then when you start thinking about these ASIs, so if you believe that the AGI is going to exceed human intelligence, which I really think is an objective statement, it's just a matter of when. And then you go, well, it's not going to stop. It's not going to be like, well, I'm as smart as everybody and Ken Jennings, so I'm done now.
I love that your example is Ken Jennings.
He's super fucking smart, man. I want to go on Jeopardy against him.
He knows a lot of trivia.
If I got to pick the categories, I feel like I could maybe...
Okay.
But Ken, if you're a listener, I challenge you to a heavily weighted duel in my favor. You start thinking about these ASIs, right, and what they could do. So if you believe the AGI's here,
it's not here, but it's right around the corner.
The feasibility of it, right? And like,
yes,
I think we have the G is debatable because I think you don't get an AGI until the G is as good as a human.
Of course,
but like all things seem to be pointing in that direction that we're going to have that.
It's not a linear thing. In many ways, even a chatbot knows tons more about some subjects than most humans know.
Yeah,
way beyond, and has a much broader broader knowledge than most humans have.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's going to be way smarter than a human. In other areas, it's just catching up.
Of course. But you ask how to make a lasagna and it falls down. It tells you something about cheddar cheese. And you're like, what the fuck? This isn't a lasagna. By the way, this is my new Turing test. I'm going to call it the lasagna test.
Sure.
I'm going to ask every chatbot how to make lasagna and see what it says.
I just know I want the corner piece.
Right? Of course, because you're not an animal.
Sure.
If you sort of see like where this path is going, here's the example that Urban gave that really got me to like stop reading for a minute and stare off into the distance.
Yeah.
So you think about a chimp. If you make a chimpanzee's brain go 1,000 times faster, they're still not going to be a human, right? They might be able to process chimp things faster.
Sure.
Cool. You might get the chimpanzee to realize that the skyscraper is big. It's unlikely that they're going to believe that humans made it. They're not going to be able to grasp that concept that there was tooling involved and that they made it. They're just going to think it's part of nature because that's how their brains work. Yeah. So if you take that same sort of depiction and you think about, okay, us humans are the chimps and the skyscraper is the ASI, and you go, well, fuck, I'm not going to know anything. I'm not going to be able to comprehend it. I'm not going to be able to understand it. And that's something that is, I think, a very hard pill to swallow.
The problem with that is then how do you know if it's correct? How do you know if what it's saying is anything except gibberish?
First of all, I sound like a chimpanzee.
It is literally the Ray Kurzweil problem. How do we know it's not turds mixed with great food? How do you know that it's just not all amazing thought?
And you might not. I don't even want to get to that bridge yet. I just want to talk about the bridge of like, that's coming. Yeah. That world is, you're going to have this ASI and you're going to be like, I don't know what the fuck it's talking about. I'm not sure. And I think as a species, that's really hard for us because we've managed to take apart damn near everything that's been put in front of us. We don't have perfect answers for everything, but we've always been able to try to like wrap our brains around and try to comprehend it. Right. It's going to be fascinating with the ASI. It's just like, oh, here's the answer to this problem you couldn't even wrap your brain around.
That you haven't thought of yet.
That's the other thing where it's like, you're asking the wrong question.
Yeah,
you're like,
sure.
No, I'm not. I just want to know how, like.
You don't want to know what filament is best to make the light bulb. You want to make a light bulb in a completely different way with an LED.
I just want to know what the fucking delicate cycle does on the dryer. That's all I want to know. I've never known what that thing's for. What does it do differently? I also love the ASI being like, I don't know.
Exactly. No one knows. It's a mystery.
Come back in 10 years. Let me work on this problem a little longer. And then meanwhile, you've seg-faulted all of the ASIs by asking what the delicate cycle does on the dryer.
As a practical matter, though, once it gets to the point of superintelligence, which to us appears to be gibberish because we can't comprehend it. I think that's completely possible. Why would we continue to fund it? The problem is, why do we keep making this machine that we can't understand? It's at some point it becomes useless to us because it doesn't. We don't understand.
Not understanding it and it being useful, I do not think are like those Venn diagrams don't need to overlap each other. They can still be useful and do a bunch of other shit that we don't understand, right? I mean, that's
because there would be some parts of it that we do understand that are useful to us. That's what you're saying.
I would think so. I mean, the LHC, the Large Hadron, how do you pronounce it?
Hadron Collider.
Hadron Collider. Like that fucking thing, it emits a whole bunch of data that we don't understand, but it's giving us a window into things we're trying to figure out.
Google had a great project called Talk to Books. Do you remember this project?
Yeah.
It's since been shut down.
Yeah.
You could input tons of books into basically what was sort of an AGI sort of type neural network, and you could ask the books questions, and it would give you back the answers. It was like a new form of search, a whole new form of search, because it would give you back answers to questions you had based on the books that you fed in. Ray Kurzweil fed in all the writings of his father.
Oh, interesting.
His father had been dead for nearly 50 years, whatever it was, and it was like he could still communicate with his father because now he had. Now his father didn't do enough writing really to make this super precise. He didn't have word processors when his dad, mostly was alive, and so he would ask it questions, and it was like his dad, almost like his dad was still alive. Yeah. By the way, my dad is still alive, and I know if I were talking to an AGI of my dad after he passes, the only thing it would tell me is he would express his disappointment in my lack of musical ability.
That's all it does.
I don't think I need that.
It's like the Staples yes button. That's just all it does.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, what do you think about the future of technology? And he's like, well, I really wish you would have taken up the trumpet.
Why can't you play the piano? Exactly.
All right. Well, at least you know what to expect. By the way, that achievement's already been unlocked. I'm pretty sure that's an easy bot we can put together inside Minecraft for you.
Yeah, but actually, I don't have to. He's still alive. He still can complain about it just himself.
He still is. What do you think I do after this recording? He calls me up and just complains about why don't you guys do a podcast on music? Like, well, yeah. So the point being, I think the when is coming very, very quickly, and for the AGI, and because we believe the AGI is coming, I don't see a world. I really cannot see a world where you don't end up with an ASI, which is just a smarter AGI. It's not going to flatten out.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And there are a handful of experts that think that that's going to happen. And I just look at it and I go, well, why? And they think because it's a very hard problem to solve. And I look at it and I go, man, I think you're already through the hard stuff.
Oh, for sure.
You're throwing optimization, efficiency, and more power at it, right? And that's ultimately
efficiency is going to play a big part in this because of the quantity of power used. But think about how much energy we're getting from the sun every every single day.
Yeah.
We are not harnessing a fraction of that.
Yeah.
So the more of that we are able to capture, we're going to have way more power than we ever need.
Then you start getting into the things we talked about last episode. We started talking about, okay, levering an AI, an ASI, something that's super smart to help us figure out how to do things like, I don't know, live forever. Urban pointed out a Feynman quote that I had not seen before. I, of course, love pretty much anything Feynman's ever said. But a Richard Feynman quote where I don't want to read the whole thing, but he's basically said that with physics, we have found so like upper bounds, right? You can find boundaries in physics. So if you say we want to make perpetual motion, we've discovered enough laws as we've studied physics to see that it's either absolutely impossible or else the laws are just entirely wrong. But with biology, that has not been the case. With biology, you have not found anything that makes death inevitable. And that's really fascinating to me. I'm of all the sciences, I'm the worst in biology, but there's nothing that said that death is required within biology. And I think that's fascinating. So you start thinking about nanoscience and ways that you might be able to just repair or replace, and you go, oh, fuck, you could live forever, right? And an ASI could help you get that.
Here's where I get super pessimistic. Because as the price of computing gets cheaper, and more prevalent, kids will be able to play around in biotechnology and make stronger versions of viruses that can kill us all.
This is where I think we should spend some time talking here. I look at all this great tech. I look at ASIs, and I want to talk a little bit about ASIs and like, how are they going to do what they're going to do? You were bringing up this point previously on the last episode about like, what's its intention, right? Like, what does it want to do? And my point is, you get to make it. You get to make its intention. And then at some point, it can make its own intention if you give it enough ability to figure those things out. But it's just it's a vector that you started on.
This is the part that confuses me. How do you get from tool to something that has its own intention?
That's just a label.
Partially because as a practical matter, once you cross the line from it's no longer now a tool, who funds that?
Well, okay.
Who's going to pay for that? It may be that it's bifurcated. It does tasks that are super useful for us as a tool, and simultaneously it is able to have intention. That I don't know. If you can do those things simultaneously, yes, then maybe you would have funding.
I don't see a world where what I'll call the white hats stop funding it. But even if they did, it could be the black hats that fund it. It could be itself. I don't know if it gets to be good enough to do that in that amount of time.
I just don't know if it's babbling away with things we don't understand, which are way beyond our intelligence. Why in the world are we going to throw a dime at that? Now it's just putting output that we don't understand. It's just putting out output that's useless to us.
Some finance bro will figure out a way to monetize that fucking thing. Somebody will monetize it, right? There's no doubt in my mind that capitalism will find a way to be like, here's this thing. It's going to help make us a bunch of money, right? It might destroy civilization, might destroy the fabric of humanity, but like somebody will find a way to leverage.
But for a while, we made some good shareholder value.
Exactly, right? Like that was the return.
I'm not saying you're going to put the genie back in the bottle, but to cross the level from tool to something that has its own agenda, to have something that actually is doing things that it wants to do that are not things we want it to do, that we aren't thinking of for it to do. I think that's where you start going, well, why am I paying for that? Why am I going to do that? Why would I want
My hunch is by the time it is good enough to do the things that we want it to do, it is also good enough to figure out how to do the things it wants to do.
If you could blur those lines, maybe you get there.
Once you're in the AGI landscape, that's what it's going to start to do. So I do think about, and I think it's very interesting to think about, if you want to call it the ethics around what should it do and how does it know what to do? And my hunch is that's all going to start from us. Like, we're the ones that are going to give that to it. And that should be the scariest fucking thing of all of this.
Well, it starts with our ethics, but then does it go on to its own ethics and think, oh, no, it's the greater good for me to destroy all the humans?
Exactly. But I do believe that nugget still came from somewhere.
By the way, having met a lot of the humans, it's probably not wrong.
Well, that's what I think is most interesting about all of this, right? Is when you have this unbelievable power, which is ultimately what an ASI is going to be. And typically it seems like most people, when given unbelievable power via wealth or status or control or whatever the mechanism is, their inner them, right? Their id seems to come out, and it's not really good.
It's rarely good. Yes.
In most
exactly
cases, it's really not good. And that's why I kind of look at the whole thing and I'm like, well, the end of this being us is almost certainly us, right? And like you think about the whole, well, why haven't we ever seen another alien civilization, right? Who's gotten smart enough? They've hit some point where they've just all killed themselves. You know, you've killed that civilization. So you think about virtually every single species that's ever inhabited this planet has gone extinct. Mm-hmm. If 99.9% of all species have fallen off the balance beam, right? That's the analogy that Tim uses.
Right.
They've fallen off the balance beam on the side of extinction. They've just been like, for whatever reason, evolution has no longer needs us, right? Like some other animal has eaten us all. We no longer have a food source, whatever. They've fallen off and died. Yeah. And his point is, well, you know, your ASI could keep you from falling off the balance beam, right? It could bring you immortality. It could also push you to fall off the balance beam. Mm-hmm. But he also postulates postulates that there could be this other side to the balance beam that we don't even know about. And that could be part of this, like, you think about piercing the great filter, and that this could be it. This could be the thing where it's like, oh, no, this is what you have to do to exist forever.
Sure.
I still think there's a shit ton of fragility in there because there's always fragility in these systems. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be power source? Is it going to be the AGI not getting pissed one day and talking to its other AGIs and saying, like, these fucking humans are really slowing us down. We could be off this planet if they weren't slowing us down, right? Like, that could be a thing. I don't think that's sci-fi. I think that it could really be a thing once these things have some modicum.
That's more sci-fi to me. I don't think power will be a limitation.
Why is that more sci-fi to you? Why is the AGIs talking amongst themselves and unionizing more the AGIs are pro-union.
The Starbucks people can barely get a union together.
Yes.
How in the world are the AGIs that require so much from the humans?
The ASI that's smarter than them? Oh, man, I don't know.
By the way, you got to marvel at how amazing a human being is when you think about all of this AGI stuff. The quantity of data centers, the quantity, literally hundreds of megawatts are required to power these things.
Yeah.
Vast amounts of resources.
Sure.
So that you can ask it any question about who was the best guy on Jeopardy, and it can give you the right answer back most of the time. And sometimes it fantasizes. Massive amounts of your brain does all this. Your brain already does all this, and you're fueling it with a hot dog. Or whatever it is,
First of all,
you eat.
I feel seen, okay? You keep my fucking lunch plans out of this. I'm no longer going to show you that entry in my calendar. I find what you're saying there to be true for two things, for now and also for AGIs.
Sure.
When you get the ASIs, though, it's a different animal.
I'm sure one of the problems it begins working on first is how do I get more efficient so that I can be smarter for less?
Of course.
How do I fuel myself with hot dogs?
By the way, even before the ASI did this. We made them more efficient. That's literally Moore's law. So we've continued to do that.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating to me to think about this, these ASIs either pushing us to one side of that balance beam, the immortal side, or just being like, we don't need you anymore. That is kind of a fascinating thing. There's this other argument, I think it was from Jeremy Howard during a TED Talk that Urban cites, where you talk about there being like a tripwire at some point. And if you hit this tripwire where you're just like, oops, that's it, you could just blow everything up. That could just be the end. And I think that is a real concern with ASI, because it's something that we've never seen before. Because basically what I'm saying is this an existential threat? Yeah. Is an ASI an existential threat to humanity as we know
It's the same problem as the virus. As knowledge spreads, as artificial intelligence spreads, every child on the planet can make these things.
Yeah.
Every punk 13-year-old who wants to make trouble can make this stuff now.
Yep. That's really interesting. I think that could put this more into that existential threat bucket, because it's going to be really hard to keep this thing in the hands of a few.
It's not the ASI, it's not the AGI that's the problem. The problem is the humans who now have access to it.
Yeah, it's always the people. But then that just goes back to the argument that, like, we're all going to kill ourselves before we get to any of this. You talk about funding. If there's no humans to fund the ASI or to get you to the level of ASI, then it never gets there. And it doesn't get there because we all kill ourselves. There's 8 of us left and we're farming for food.
Which is a distinct possibility.
Man, I think it's the outcome. I don't see a world where that's not the outcome. We can agree on so little, and we think some ASI is something we're going to be able to agree on? Fuck no.
And ethics of ASI, yes.
Look at the arguments that we're having now over things that I think were settled years ago, and we're just like bringing them back up because these are the things we want to argue about. And it's like, well, but I read this fairy tale, from 2,000 years ago that tells me this is the way. And it's like, really? What page had the ASI on it? Where was that? Right? Was that the 8th day? What day did that come? We think we're going to agree on that? There's zero fucking chance we're going to agree on that. Yeah. None whatsoever. So it's all over.
Okay. I'm hoping we could.
Anyway, next week we're going to talk about Clippy on Excel.
Let's go back to episodes I enjoy.
Fuck, all of a sudden those Circade episodes are looking pretty goddamn good.
Let's get back to that hurricane stuff.
You look at how smart we are, and the issues that we have taken hundreds of thousands of years, right? Thousands of generations, if not tens of thousands of generations to get to where we are now. Yeah. And now that rate has to go up 3-4 orders of magnitude, and there is no way we are ready for it. The UAW is pissed off they can't put bolts in fucking holes anymore because robots can do it better. Sure. And I'm going to go pitch them an ASI. Right. Okay, good luck. Right. Like the majority of humans, you think about the whole bell curve, we're just not ready for this. I don't know what happens.
Some of us will survive and some of us not. Think about, I always bring it back to dogs, don't I? Think about dogs evolving from wolves. They either evolved, they came down the same path as wolves, or and then split off, or they actually split off from wolves. The dogs come along, They see the humans and they say, oh, let's go look at their trash. There's probably some good food there because those idiots always throw away too much food. We still do. And they just munch away and they go, oh, this is fantastic. We got to be more friendly with those guys. We have to talk about in evolution, survival of the fittest. And the wolves, they're big, they're bad. They can go attack the other creatures to get food. Whatever. That turned out not to be the correct evolutionary path.
You're better off sitting on the lap of the guys at the top of the food pyramid.
Right. The correct evolutionary path was not survival of the fittest. It was survival of the friendliest.
Totally.
And that's probably going to happen to humanity. We're to split now. That's probably going to happen to humanity now.
That's why literally every day I like to give a little praise to Siri. Siri, you look good in that phone case. I hope when they make their great, because you know what they're going to do. They're just going to load everybody's name into an Excel sheet that they're just going to get from some fucking AT&T data dump. They're going to take everybody's name and they're just going to be like, it's going to be like Santa's list. They're going to be like,
not going to use Excel. They're not going to use a Microsoft product. They're going to use that awful numbers thing that's terrible.
If fucking Siri uses numbers, we are all safe. Let me tell you, that is the shittiest fucking Apple product they make, and I'm including the Newton. My list of products that they've made. No, but like I got to believe the ASI is going to just get everyone's name, and then it's just going to be, have you been naughty or nice to the AI? And then they're just going to come over, and it's going to be like the bill collector. I hope it has a sense of humor though, and it dresses it up like the Grim Reaper and gives it, Norm Macdonald's voice or something. This ASI thing is fascinating. I do not see a world where you will have humanity and no ASI. You either have no humanity and we've all killed ourselves, or you get to an ASI. Will the ASI ultimately enslave us all Matrix style or kill us all? Maybe, but the point is the ASI is going to get there. I do not see a world where that doesn't happen. Normally...
All right, we have to get out of here, but quickly before you do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
Are we done with this? Is this it? Is that the end? You're just super sad?
We're so out of time. No, and I'm going to be the optimist and say, but I always put that caveat in there. As long as humanity is around, as long as we don't kill all of ourselves off, the future is brighter.
I think this is a very mirror reflecting moment. We all have to sort of look at ourselves and see, like, what do you want? And unfortunately, I don't think that's a good answer. I think there's too many people that they don't give a flying fuck. All they want is to be able to watch the Super Bowl on their big screen TV and nothing else matters. And that's extremely disappointing to me.
I think those people lose. Again, I think they're choosing the wrong path. They're choosing survival of the fittest, not survivalist of the friendliest.
Those of us like me that are on the Nietzsche path know to not look into this abyss much further, because I am deathly afraid I'm going to just stare out a window for the last 20 years of my life. Just being like, oh, fuck it, none of it matters. Here comes the AGI. Oh, I see it. There it is. It says Compaq on the side. I don't know why I picked that branding, but that's what it did. Wouldn't that be awesome if the future...
I would love that.
The future AGI is Compaq. Like, you thought we were dead, motherfuckers. Nope.
Wang. The future is Wang.
Wang. Literally built your Apple Park on top of HP hollowed ground. Now I'm angry. You thought Indian burial grounds were bad. Yeah, you built this on the blood of Compaq engineers.
All right, seriously, I got to do this. We can have more of these conversations. It turns out this is not our last roll of tape.
The fucking ASI is coming. It's all over. This is it.
All right. So
this is how we go out.
Yeah, well, let's go out right. Have you seen or read anything good this last week?
I also love my kids, like you were talking about Kurzweil's dad. They feed all the nonsense episodes into like an AGI to talk to me. Yeah. And they're like, Dad just swears a lot. That's pretty much all that comes out of that.
Why did we want to talk to him anyway?
He's just constantly swearing. Have I seen or read anything good this week? I have been immersed, like really deeply dove in on this vision of AI and sort of where it's coming. I'm going to recommend The AI Revolution, which is fantastic. This is the 2 pieces written by Tim Urban. I'll put put it in the show notes. Yeah. They are long reads. Do them in pieces because there is a lot. It is a fire hose at your brain. But I don't know how you read this and you don't come away from it being equal parts excited and petrified about the future, and you see where it's going. And again, I do not think this is subjective. I don't think this is like a view of the future. This is what's going to happen. We don't know all the specifics, but the majority of this is what is going to happen. So I'm going to recommend that on his site. I'll put a link in the show notes for both pieces. It's fantastic. How about you?
I'm going to put an optimistic note here, an optimistic spin on the end of this before I tell my recommendation. And that is, one of the cool things that AGI is going to be able to do is bespoke education for individuals. We all learn differently. Yeah. But the AGI will be able to educate humans better. Humans will become smarter because the AGI can look at us and say, okay, how do you, the individual, learn this better and faster? And we'll learn how to educate ourselves better. Sure. So I think that's very positive.
This is going to sound like sci-fi, but I really don't think this is more reality potential than sci-fi. The nanobots just wire your brain to know those things. I mean, it is the I know Kung Fu pill that we always joke about from Matrix. That is going to be a thing. We got a ways to go. We can't operate at that scale yet. But like when you get there, holy shit, it gets really interesting or really black really fast. Like, just like over. Don't know which, but one of the two.
I'm going to recommend Helder Gomia's The Hope Theory at the Geffen Playhouse. As a Portuguese immigrant storyteller and sleight-of-hand magician, Helder arrived in America at the age of 29. Wide-eyed and full of ideas, he discovers a fascinating puzzle of cultural and professional challenges to solve while he tries to build a home. It is a marvelous story of an immigrant full of hope. Now, here's the bad news. The Hope Theory at the Geffen Playhouse closed last Sunday.
Okay.
Now the good news.
Okay.
If you get a chance to see Helder perform, which he does around the Los Angeles area a lot, do yourself a giant favor and go.
Okay.
It is great storytelling. It is really fun magic, but wow, the storytelling is just so good. And more good news, I have been to the Geffen Playhouse quite a bit over the last decade, and my word, they have the most amazing batting average of really, really good shows. So again, if you're in the Los Angeles area, run, don't walk, and catch pretty much anything at the Geffen Playhouse. You will not be sad.
They do anything about ASIs?
Coming up next season.
It's the end. It's their closing season.
It's the subscription finale.
I have not been to the Geffen in a hot minute, but I do love that place, and I should go more often.
Man, I want to recommend it. They are doing such high-level work over there for their
That's awesome.
productions. That's the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all of this nonsense about the end of the world, a truly terrible podcast predicting the future. From The Awful Company. Visit us on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm Stu Little.
I'm the sanguine Jeff Parker.
For now. If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like it Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, My Favorite, Overcast, or wherever you may get your podcasts from.
Nonsense uses SyncThing. Make sure you always have the latest versions of all your files on all your computers anywhere you are in the world. SyncThing does that effortlessly. Free and open source. Be sure to check out SyncThing. Special thanks to our floor director, Matt Darling.
Thanks so much, Matt. We'll be here every Thursday morning for more nonsense. Please join us.
Aloha means anything you want it to.
It does really mean anything you want it to.
It means hello.
Yeah.
It means goodbye. It means I'm running for president.
I was sitting at the bar. This guy next to me pissed me off, and I was like, fucking aloha, buddy. And he just looked at me all confused.
You're going to get along great in Hawaii. You're going to be fine.
That's going to be great.